What's going on, y'all? All right, so today I wake up and I'm looking through my news feed and my YouTube timeline, and I see this video pop up about Deontay Wilder blaming his loss to Tyson Fury on his costume. And I'm like, this can't be right. It has to be a typo. I'm looking at it, and it has a thumbnail of Stephen A. Smith's face in utter shock and disbelief, almost like disgust. I'm like, all right, let me click on this. And come to find out, Deontay Wilder blamed his loss on his suit being too heavy. Now, I'm reading an article from Yahoo Entertainment right now, and it says heavyweight boxer Deontay Wilder is blaming the heavy costume he wore on Saturday for his shocking TKO loss to Tyson Fury that ended his undefeated streak. Wilder wore an elaborate outfit, which included a full-face helmet, crown, and shoulder pad and chest pads, as he walked into the ring at MGM Grand in Las Vegas. And as we all know, like I said before, he didn't just wear a costume. He looked like a hidden character off of Mortal Kombat. He came out full all black everything. You know, whether it's the song or the costume. And it's like, really? That's what you're going to, after the performance that you had in the ring, the sheer dominance and tactical brilliance that Tyson Fury displayed from round 1 to round 7, that's going to be your explanation as to why you had no legs and why you were visibly exhausted and gassed in that fight? Can't be true. Can't be true. So, you know, this is straight out of the mouth of Deontay Wilder. He didn't hurt me at all. But the simple fact is, my uniform was way too heavy for me. I didn't have no legs from the beginning of the fight. In the third round, my legs were just shot all the way through. But no excuses. No excuses. And I don't mean that to be facetious towards Deontay. I'm lying. I do. I just... Look, I give respect to both fighters for getting into that ring and putting everything on the line. But you have to be, that can't be your reasoning, really? All right, so you had a 40-pound suit on, costume, whatever you want to call it. You didn't know that the costume was that heavy the night before the fight, which is when you said was the first time that you were able to try on the costume and you realized how heavy it was. Okay, you realized how heavy it was the night before. Cool. You either decide, one, I'm not going to wear that costume out, and either you have a backup costume, or how about this? Just come out as you are. The fight is more important than a damn Halloween costume, Deontay. Or if a 40-pound costume is that heavy, why didn't you get carried out to the ring like Tyson Fury? Or 3, if a 40-pound costume was too heavy for you to walk out to the ring without being gassed, don't you have to consider that your stamina is not where it needs to be in the first place? Maybe you didn't prepare properly for this fight. Did you do road work? Or if you never do road work, did you do other things to get yourself in shape, which I'm sure you do? I mean, I've seen you do high intensity interval training. I'm sure there are other ways that you have prepared yourself to have the stamina and endurance to go through a 12-round fight in one of the biggest fights of your life. So I can't, not that I buy that excuse, but who do you think you're going to get that excuse by? Look, I'm a $150, 5'8". I'm not preparing to fight a 12-round championship fight after this, but I've ran a mile sprinting. Ran a 7.5 minute mile with a 20-pound weighted vest on, and I'm a $150. And then I proceeded to take the vest off and then run another mile in 7 minutes with no weight on. So you're trying to tell me at 234 pounds that sauntering slowly out to the ring from the locker room with a 40-pound vest on, which is only 20 more pounds than the vest that I wore running a full mile, that's gassing you? Really? You're a championship level boxer and athlete, and wearing a 40-pound costume is taking your legs out from under you just from walking from the locker room out to the ring. Are you kidding me? Come on, man. You got to do better than that. That's I'm not trying to be mean. I'm not trying to make fun of Deontay Wilder. I'm just trying to put an air of seriousness behind what I'm saying when I say that there's an issue with certain fighters, certain athletes, that when they face adversity for the first time and things don't go the way that they are used to or the way that they expect them to, they don't know how to take accountability for what happened, take their L, come back stronger, and make those changes. And which leads me to my next point of disagreement with Deontay and his team. Not only are you throwing out the reasoning after the whole hashtag no excuses before the fight and after the fight, you're throwing out the whole reasoning of the weighted helmet with all the batteries being the reason why your legs were shot. Then you want to turn around and throw one of your trainers, Mark Breland, under the bus. A guy has been an integral part of developing you as a fighter. You know, a gold medal Olympian from 1984, a top level welterweight, championship level welterweight back in the 80s, 1982 welterweight of the year. No, excuse me. 1982 Boxer of the Year by the USAABF, and rated number 1 amateur welterweight in the world by the AIBA in 1984. This is a highly skilled boxer from back in the day. And just from the scenes that I've seen of him training you, looks like a very good teacher. He's one of the tallest welterweights in history at 6'2". I mean, the only person in that range that I can think of that was a elite level fighter was Tommy Hearns. You know what I mean? You're talking about like Tommy Hearns, Vernon Forrest, and then Mark Breland as some of the tallest welterweight fighters that were able to compete and win at a high level. And he threw in the towel in the 7th round because he felt as though you were taking too much punishment. A guy that's been in the ring. He's been in big fights. He's knocked people out. He's been stopped. So he knows the price you're paying every time you step into the ring. He knows the price that you're paying when you take too much punishment. And he's trying to look out for your best interests. He's seen you at your best when you're knocking people into the shadow realm. And he's seen you at your worst when you've had moments against Spilka where you were, well, I don't know about Spilka, but I know definitely with the Luis Ortiz fight where you were buzzed a couple times in both fights. In the Tyson Fury fight, the first one, where he definitely had you a little wobbly or at least buzzed at certain points in the fight. And then in this fight, where you were really had no legs under you, that's somebody that's seen you at varying degrees of success or trouble in his time working with you. And in my opinion, he could have thrown the towel in the 5th round. And he went with your wishes and allowed you to go 2 more rounds. And at the point where Kenny Bayless and Mark Breland were throwing in the towel, you were getting hit with punches and not responding back. You can't allow... I know you want to go out on your shield, Deontay, but you can't get upset at the people in your corner that are looking out for your best interest, because the one that threw in the flag, the towel, is really the one looking out for your best interest. As a trainer and somebody that cares about you. And, that's against your wishes. You don't want to hear it no matter what, because you feel as though you have that knockout power to change the fight at any time. And it's understandable. That was your wishes to go out on your shield. You don't want to hear any ifs, ands, or buts about it. Well, if that's the case, then all right, maybe you do need to find somebody else. But don't get mad at Mark Breland for doing exactly what he was supposed to do in that situation. Because we've seen far too many people either have permanent damage or die in the ring. The same way that you've knocked people out or stopped people, should Luis Ortiz have gone out on his shield and been allowed to try to get back up for the 10 count, or should they have stopped the fight before you hit him with the uppercut to send him down the final time in the first fight? There has to be a line of demarcation, a line of discretion where you're going to either allow that person to go out on their shield if that be the case, or you have to make that call. And to turn ship on somebody who's really been in your corner pulling for you, and something that I just read on boxingscene.com that I really didn't like. Now, Breland, he's trained Anthony Durrell, former WBC super middleweight champion, and Anthony Durrell is trained by Javon Sugar Hill Stewart, who was Fury's head trainer for this fight. And it was almost like Wilder and maybe some of his team. I'm just going from what Wilder said. It's almost like he tried to insinuate that Breland threw in the towel because he heard Anthony Durrell in the crowd saying, "Stop the fight, throw in the towel, throw in the towel." Almost like he was doing that because he had some sense of misguided loyalty to Durrell and or Sugar Hill Stewart in the other corner, like he was plotting on him. Like I don't like that. I don't like that. Not at all. I really don't. So this is what was said by Wilder, right? Wilder has always instructed Breland, his longtime assistant trainer and head trainer J.D. Diaz, to never throw in the towel when he's fighting. Diaz told Breland not to do that when Breland mentioned it as a possibility in Wilder's corner, while the former WBC heavyweight champion was taking unanswered, and I emphasize unanswered, punches from Tyson Fury during the seventh round. Now, Kenny Bayless promptly stopped Wilder's rematch versus Fury when Breland threw in the towel. When Wilder questioned Breland, and there's a clip of this right after the stoppage, and he's like talking back and forth to Breland right on the side ropes. The former WBA welterweight champion Breland told an exasperated ex-champion he didn't want Wilder to get seriously hurt by Fury in what had become a one-sided fight at that point. And that's exactly how we all felt watching that. It was a one-sided fight. It was not just one-sided, it was a clinic. It was a boxing clinic. And he was getting very close to the point where he could have gotten seriously hurt. Now, Wilder expressed displeasure with that decision during an extensive interview Monday with boxingscene.com, just yesterday. Well, yesterday as of the time that I'm making this video. He even suggested, and this is what pissed me off, that Breland was influenced to throw in the towel by Anthony Durrell, who is seated near Wilder's corner. According to Wilder, he repeatedly yelled for Wilder's trainers to stop the fight, and because he's trained by Sugar Hill Stewart, who was Fury's head trainer, he felt as though there was something fishy there. It's kind of hurtful there, man. It really makes you think about different things. I don't want to put negative thoughts in my head or have any kind of conspiracy theories going on, but it makes you think. Somebody that did something that's not up to him, and even if they were instructed to not to, they still proceeded on. And then getting influenced by the opposite team, one of the guys that trained with the opposite trainer, it makes you think. He was influenced by Durrell. They said Durrell was in the back of his screen and throw the towel in. We love our champ, Anthony works with Sugar as well. the opposite trainer, Tyson's trainer. Darrell works with him too. Breland said he didn't hear nothing, but everybody's saying the same thing. A lot of people that's around, a lot of people that was in my camp, and if everybody's hearing it, and if my people in the corner can hear him, and Mark said he can't hear him, there's something wrong with that. There's a lot going on with Mark as well. But we're going to make a big decision by the time I come back from Africa, and we're going to go from there. You see, I don't like that. I really don't. Because if anybody was watching out for you, it was Breland, not Jay or the rest of the people on your team. That's who you need to be looking at. Because if they really cared about you and your career and the potential of you coming back for future fights and building your way back into a champion, then they would have stopped the fight. Let's say you would have seriously got hurt. That affects your future. That affects your earnings. That affects the time you get to spend with your kids and your family. You know what I mean? Like, it's always easy to have that perspective when the shoe is on the other foot. But when that shoe, and the shoe being the shoe of getting your ass whooped, excuse my French, is on your foot, then you can't keep that same mentality. You have to be able to look in the mirror and say, maybe I don't know everything about everything. How about that? And with that, I'm going to end this video. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below. But those are my views on this. And I really think there needs to be a change of tone in Wilder's corner. And really a lot of self-reflection. Thanks for tuning in.